Good evening. My name is Randy Fernandez and welcome to City Beat. City Beat is a show designed to inform and educate the residents of the city of Port Huron about the programs and activities that affect their everyday lives. Our topic today is the Port Huron Minor Hockey Association, and with us is the president of the Port Huron Minor Hockey Association, Mr. Eric Parker. Eric, welcome to City Beat.
Thanks, Randy. Glad to be here.
Eric, it's the middle of August. I can't believe, or is it that time of year again for hockey season?
Yeah, it is, Randy. Basically, the hockey season for us board members and that is a year-round proposition, but this time of year is where we really start to crank it up and get ready for the season.
When is the ice even in yet at McMorran Arena?
Yeah, it's actually down right now. The logo's been painted in the ice in the main arena, and we start skating on Sunday with our travel team tryouts.
You know, Eric, that's the thing I want our listeners to take away from the show today is that we are so lucky in Port Huron and St. Clair County to have not only one, but two beautiful hockey arenas located in downtown Port Huron. And I really feel that, you know, with Larry Kraybach, who's the general manager of the arenas, does a great job. Would you concur with that?
Oh, yeah, Larry's worked really well with us. In previous to that, Morris Snyder, we've had a great relationship with the city and with McMorran and their staff, and they accommodate us at most anything we need. You know, they supply our hockey office, and you know, of course, we get a lot of great ice time, and if we need anything handled or fixed or whatever, they take care of for us. So Larry and his staff do a great job.
In both of our arenas, we have a main and a junior. How would those arenas compare with, I know you've traveled a lot, you're a referee, you've gone over to Canada, I hear the word, you know, the old barn or something like that. We stack up pretty well, don't we?
Yeah, we do. We've got some great facilities. Maybe they're a little dated today, but they're still in great condition. They still you know, have good ice. You can get into some really bad ice situations in some place, and I know, like you said, I've traveled a lot. I used to coach travel hockey, so I've been in a lot of different arenas over the years. But yeah, we have one of the nicer facilities, and when kids come in for Silver Stick, they just rave at the main arena, because a lot of these small Canadian towns, even with the newer rinks they build over there, are more like our junior arena, so they're not you know, as big and as, you know, nice as what that is. So they really go, wow, this is a big time rink. So.
Rick, I've got a lot of topics I want to hit, and Silver Stick is one, but we're going to save that till later in the show. But let's start out. So I'm a young couple. I've got maybe a 3, 4, 5, 6-year-old child. I want them to experience all sports, but let's say hockey in particular. Is there a program? I've got a 3-year-old, 4-year-old son. or daughter, I should say.
Yeah.
Can you start them in that program, or you've got to be 10 or 11 before you can get into hockey?
No, we've even started them at 2-year-olds if they could skate and, you know, walk. Obviously, then they can skate. They can't skate before walking, but. We have what's called a learn to skate program.
Not learn to crawl, but learn to skate, right?
Learn to skate, yeah. And typically it's more like 4- and 5-year-olds, but we, like I said, there has been the rare occasion when there's been a 2-year-old, but mostly there's some 3s, but 4 and 5 is a good age to get them started because they have a little bit of confidence in moving around and being about, but it's a really nice program. It's usually for an hour on Saturdays. We are this year going to include another day during the week. Maybe we haven't decided yet if it's going to be every week or every other week, but to give them some additional ice. But it's the basic fundamentals of skating, but it's built with fun involved because we use little mini hockey sticks and beach balls and different types of things, tennis balls, stuff that they can kick around and they crawl. It's just a lot of fun for the kids. So
not so much competitive, but again, to get them on the ice, I'm sure they're going to fall down, someone's going to pick them up, but again, to have fun.
Yep, it's a lot of fun for them. We have a lot of people out there helping. Ron Churchill's going to oversee what, as we get into in a little bit, Mini Might, Mighty Might, and Learn to Skate. But we also we're working on bringing in some professional figure skaters that have some knowledge in the art of skating, and also some of the Port Huron Rebels girls hockey team. They need, a lot of them are in the National Honor Society, so they need community service credits, and they're going to help out this year with that program.
So again, if I've got a 4 or 5-year-old, you're not just going to throw them out on the ice without supervision. You mentioned
Absolutely.
Ron Churchill. You've mentioned you're going to bring in some adult figure skaters. You've mentioned the girls hockey team from High Northern, the Rebels. Mm-hmm. So they're going to be supervised, and they're going to get one-on-one or at least 3-on-1, so to speak, instruction.
Yep, there'll always be somebody working with them, so they'll be well cared for and well taught.
Well, as they move up, as they progress, you mentioned something about mini mites and mighty mites. Is that the next steps in the progression?
Yep, that's where they actually learn to play hockey. They start to wear full hockey gear there. And what we do is we put them on what we call cross ice or half ice. We purchased some boards last year, and this is a big program in Europe, and it's becoming real big in the United States now, but it's called small games. The kids are obviously using smaller equipment, smaller sticks. They even use a smaller, more lightweight puck, smaller nets, so it's more adapt to their size instead of having them try to skate all the way, the 200 feet from one end to another. Most kids can't skate that far, or they're just exhausted, plus they're spread out. Well, when they go to the small ice, they pick up more of their lateral movement. They get used to working in tight spaces, more like a real game as they get bigger. So it kind of is a natural flow and progression of their abilities and the size of stature, what they really are.
So someone out there that doesn't know a lot about hockey other than they've been in a rink, that's not a negative. In other words, I want my kid at 5 years old or 6-year-old to be on full ice, and I find out that they're not going to have full ice, I shouldn't take that as a negative.
No, absolutely not. It's a positive. It's as you're seeing today, most of your better NHL players are Europeans, and the Europeans, they even go through the half ice program up till they're a lot of times 10 and 11 years old. So it helps them advance their skills. It gets them used to working, like we said, together in closer quarters, using more of their natural abilities instead of just going up and down the ice in straight lines.
Okay, so again, I'm 4, 5, 6. Let's learn to skate. 7 years old. I'm in the MITE program, as it's called.
Yep.
When do I move up? I guess the next step is the squirt. So what's the squirt program all about?
Squirt is 9 and 10-year-olds, and that's more getting to regular hockey. The mite, after you get out of the mini mites, becomes the first stage of full ice. Then in squirt you get even more advanced, and most of those kids are pretty good skaters, but we still do accept, and a lot of kids come in and start their hockey careers at 9 and 10 years old. So we have house program, and that's where at Mite and even Squirt, that's where you start a house and a travel program. And of course the difference between a house and a travel is the travel are geared for your more advanced players, and those travel all over the Michigan, Western Canada, and they play a lot of tournaments and that type of thing. Whereas your house program is more geared to staying local, advancing your skills, do a lot of skill work. You play in the actual in-house program, or if you are traveling, it's what we're pretty much up I-69 or down to Mount Clemens and play some exhibition games and that type of thing. So it's not as advanced, but it's concentrating more on the skills, whereas when you get into travel, it's more advanced hockey and you're learning more systems. And
so between the house program and the travel program, there's really something for everybody to match up their ability.
Absolutely. It's a full program, and that's what we've always built ourselves on, is having a full program from mites through midgets, or learn to skate through midgets.
Okay, so we talked about the mite program a little bit, squirt program. What's next as I get to be 11, I guess?
You hit the Pee-wee level, and the Pee-wee level becomes where you really start to notice the kids mature, grow as hockey players. It's also the first level where they can actually have body checking. The lower levels, body checking is not allowed, so it's squirt or Pee-wee on up. It's pure body checking. It's what I call pure natural hockey. So
again, that 10 or 11, or definitely 11, you're into contact really for the first time, which is good. So it isn't like I got a 5-year-old out there and I'm afraid he's going to get hit or something like that. That happens when you're 11. So again, correct me if I'm wrong, we got mites, we got squirts, we got peewees. What's next?
Bantam. And Bantam is where the boys start to become men, even though they're in that 13, 14 age group, but big difference. It's actually kind of fun. As I coach through the different ranks, I've coached almost every rank, and it's it's a whole different experience when they're 14, 15, 13, in that age group. But it's full contact. This is where kids are deciding if they want to advance on in hockey. A lot of their life's decisions are made as far as their hockey careers, or if they decide they're going to say, no, I've had enough of hockey, let's go do football or basketball or whatever the case may be. So it's a real formative couple of years there for them.
Now, you mentioned a word earlier you called the midget program. So is that the next step after Bantams?
That's our last step. That's usually, I believe it's like 16, 17, 18-year-olds. And those are usually kids, a lot of them at that age tend to go to play in the high school programs. But for those who don't want to play in high school or don't want to play that advanced level, we have the midget program available. And it's usually only, again, as a lot of kids then have dropped out of hockey, we only have a few teams at that age category. But again, we still try to make it fun. We try to get them into some type of travel situation there so they're playing a little bit higher skill. And we have a place for them to play.
Now, you mentioned all the programs and that there's house and there's travel. I know your association this year has really made an effort to bring that house program up. Something about they're playing in a Little Caesars League. Some of these teams. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Our squirt through midgets will be playing Little Caesars this year. We'll have hopefully approximately 4 teams in each division, and they'll be geared to what we're going to call an I-69 league. We were trying to form a league ourselves, but Little Caesar said they would help us with it, and where our teams will play not only themselves, but they'll be playing the other Port Huron Association. They'll also play Lapeer, and there's 3 associations based out of the Flint area. And worst case scenario, there may be Mount Clemens thrown in there as well. But and all our teams might not be in the same division, but they'll be in a crossover division, but they won't have to travel more than an hour to any game.
So if I'm a house player this year, I guess on the one hand, turn a negative into a positive. Well, I'm a house player, and there's only 4 teams. You're not just going to play those 3 other teams. You're going to get a chance to experience what the rink is like in Lapeer, and there's a couple in Flint, my understanding, possibly Mount Clemens. So you're going to do, parents, it's only going to be within an hour, and it's not going to be every day, but you're going to be able to have the best of both worlds, a little bit of house and a little bit of travel.
Yep, and it'll be good for the kids. It's a good experience because a lot of kids don't get that chance in the house program to go experience other rinks. Yeah, sometimes they go play some tournaments, but there are some teams that they decide they don't want to play tournaments. Well, and especially with the other association being down the street and playing our own teams, if they're on the road for probably 10, 12 games this year, that'll be, kept to, like I said, a little bit of a minimum, so it won't be too much over the top for some of these people that aren't used to traveling, jumping in the car and going and playing a hockey game out of town. So,
Eric, I know you're a volunteer as president of the board. Hockey's big. When I say big, tell her, 500 kids, 1,200 kids, 1,600 kids?
In Port Huron alone, there's probably 900, roughly 800 to 900 kids playing hockey. Now, whether they're all playing in Port Huron Hockey Association, no. We'll end up with somewhere between 500 and 600 kids. The other association will have a few. And then there are those that will play high school hockey, and some kids that are more advanced will go down and play in the metro area, play AAA hockey, which is very high caliber, and they travel the United States playing hockey. So we have some of that. So it's diverse and spread out, but Port Huron as a whole, for the hockey community, the people that are actually playing hockey in Port Huron, as far as a youth standpoint, is right around 900 kids, so it's large.
Well, you're a volunteer. Who runs the day-to-day operation? If I'm listening to this, watching the show, want to register or find out more about Port Huron Minor Hockey, do I call Eric Parker? Do I go down in the arena and talk to Larry Krayback, or where do I go, Eric?
No, you can call me, but I'd much prefer you to call our office administrator, Linda Taylor. Linda's in our hockey office from 4 to 8 weekdays. After the holiday here, the Labor Day holiday, she'll be in on Saturdays as well. And Linda has been with us almost 25 years, and she does a great job of running the show, so to speak. You can stop in. Our office is located in the pavilion at McMorran. We have a side entrance with our logo on it, or you can go in through the main doors and come around the corner to the right. She's in there. Or you can call her at 982-0242 during business hours, or even leave a message and she'll get back to you if you can't call during our 4 to 8 business hours. And she's very knowledgeable. Like I said, she's been with us 25 years and does a fantastic job. And
So basically, if you come down to downtown Port Huron, you can't miss the two arenas,
Yep.
and it's the smaller one.
Yep.
And her office is there, and you've just given out the phone number. And if someone, again, can't get a hold of Linda right away, but I'm assuming is there a website?
Yeah, there's a website, www.phhockey.com. All our information about our association is on there. It has coaches and ways you can schedule referees, different clinics we have going on, all kinds of stuff listed on our website. It's a pretty comprehensive website, so I encourage people to use it. And at the same time, if they can't get down there to register, they can register online.
Oh, you have online registration.
Yep.
Very good.
And we make it real simple too. If you're not comfortable using the computer, you can fax or call in your credit card information, and Linda will handle it from there. So.
Eric, I've heard hockey can be, somewhat expensive, even though there are stores. We're very fortunate to have Warwick Mask across the street now that, you can sharpen skates, buy all your hockey equipment there, and there's others like Play It Again and that. And I know, don't you usually have a used equipment sale? And again, how do your prices for registration compare with some of these other associations around the state of Michigan?
Well, our prices, I'll go to that point first, are very competitive. I think we're one of the lowest. There's a couple out there lower, but they're subsidized heavily by their city or by a large organization. What we do is we charge an upfront registration fee, each division being a little different price based on the number of hours that they skate and the expenses that are involved for that particular division. And then if you play travel, they take additional ice over what we provide for them, so they have additional bills. A lot of other associations charge a really low registration fee, but then charge you a boatload monthly for an ice fee. So we try to get the money so you know what your costs are up front. And our most expensive rate is $800, but we start as low as $75. So it's and people don't realize how much money, what is actually into that registration fee. And if I had the time, we could go into it. People just think, okay, you got to pay for referees and you got ice time and your jerseys and that's it. But when you sit down and do a budget for a program of our size, there's a lot of costs involved, and it gets we get to the point where we're obviously a nonprofit organization, so we end up, every year we're right about the break-even point where we should be. So.
But if I had a son or a daughter, and let's say, I hate to admit it, but they want to do hockey, and I just don't know if I can afford it because of whatever hardship that I've had in my life, or I had a job and all of a sudden lost it, and they've played hockey before. Is there anything new for kids like that? I've heard where there's one or two possibly, where there's a will, there's a way, like a scholarship where you can write the board. Or.
Yeah, we have money that usually anonymous donors are giving us to put into what we call our sponsorship or scholarship type program. There's an application they can fill out. There's only 2 or 3 people in the Hockey Association that will see the application, and usually we don't give a full ride, we'll give a partial. We'll check out the application, and we also ask that person that applies for that partake of our fundraisers, because most of our fundraisers go back to their registration costs anyhow, the proceeds. So we ask that they take part in the fundraisers and work hard at them to help offset some of the differences. So that works out really well. And we usually do 2 to 3 or 4 a year.
And they shouldn't be afraid to approach you. Again, it's anonymous, and if they want to help, it's for the kids, right?
Right, and equipment costs, going back to the used equipment, sometimes we have some gear there that people have donated to us that we have in our closet that maybe we have something there somebody can use, or they can go across the street to Warwick, they have some packages already done, or even Play It Again has some used stuff. Ourselves, we got out of the used equipment sale type of thing because people just weren't interested in used equipment anymore, so it really wasn't selling. And it was a lot of work to put that thing on, and most of the people had to come back and pick up their stuff. So, like you said, it just didn't work out. But there are avenues to, pick up.
And again, we mentioned there's a
equipment.
nice hockey shop, Warwick Mass, right across the street where they can and come and deal with them. Earlier, you mentioned the word referees. You can't have a hockey game without referees. I've been down to the rink, and geez, like last year, I'm seeing kids, 12, 13-year-olds out there again with someone more experienced, but getting them into referees. That's got to be a lot of work. I mean, do you run that program? Who coordinates that? Do we need referees out there? Again, if I want to be a ref, Eric, I show up tomorrow and I think I know the game, so that's good enough, or it's got to be more than that?
Well, referees a whole program in itself. Steve Emery's our referee-in-chief and scheduler and does a great job. And usually, 12, 13-year-olds is where we're looking to start them. We'd like to get some of these young guys in here because not only do we need young guys to stay up and go through the program, but it's a paid position. I mean, what a great part-time job for a kid that age. Actually, the rates for doing a hockey game, like a youth mite game, is like $14 or $15 a game. Well, there's not a kid out on the street that can go work for an hour and make $14, $15. But you have to make a commitment to it. There's a clinic coming up in September. I believe it's the 26th. It's a Sunday anyhow. Costs $10. It's an all-day clinic. Once you take that clinic, then there's a test you have to fill out, send into USA Hockey. They send you back all your credentials, and then you're ready to go. And there is a fee to USA Hockey depending on what level you apply at. But we're also looking for older people that know how to skate. I'm a referee myself, and I didn't start refereeing until 7, 8 years ago. So there is a need because.
And don't say you're old because we're the same age. So don't go there.
But it's very enjoyable, especially for us older guys too. It's a great way to stay in shape.
And it seems like, again, it's a nice paying position for a part-time thing. And again, and a lot of it besides the money is, of course, just giving back.
Yeah, you're giving back to the community and at the same point, making some cash on the side. So but the reason to do it is because you want to do it. You want to be with kids and work with hockey players. Because I shouldn't say kids because there are women's leagues and men's leagues out there too that we referee as well. So.
Now we mentioned again to have hockey, you need the kids, you need the referees. You need coaches to run the teams. But let's say I was a coach and I needed some help. I watch the game on TV. I'm coaching because my kid's on the team. I'm in the house program, let's say. Is there someone, I keep reading about something, an ACE coordinator that can come and help me? Is there such a thing? Do you use him or her, and what's that all about?
Well, ACE coordinator is Association Coaching Education Program. And for the last 7 years, Daryl McCarroll, the head coach at Port Huron Northern, ran that program and got it off the ground for us. And Daryl did a very nice job, but he's opted to leave our program and spend more time at the high school and some other activities that he had involved in. But we were very fortunate to bring in Herb Hammond, professional scout with the Minnesota Wild, and Herb has an extensive background in coaching as well at the college level out on the East Coast and some other some juniors and stuff like that. So Herb comes well versed in the game of hockey. What he'll do and what Daryl's done in the past is go actually on the ice and work with coaches and show them skills and drills and different things and evaluate their practices and how they run games and stuff. Also, in our program, our ACE coordinator is also in charge of our program development. So he pretty much puts together our whole program from top to bottom or bottom to top, whichever way you want to look at it, and decides how we're going to do those programs and helps with serves on the coaches committee, which hires the coaches because we interview all our coaches before we give them positions. And then each coach is required from USA Hockey to achieve certain levels of education and attend the clinics that are put out there by USA Hockey. So that helps them in their training as well.
Well, I know Daryl did a great job with that program, and Herb's got, I assume, big shoes to fill, but with his background, like you mentioned, with coaching, you said, in college and being a scout for a professional team, I guess we're real fortunate in our community to have someone that can just step right in and hopefully carry on Daryl's good work.
Yeah, it was, because when Daryl announced that he was leaving, I was kind of in a panic state. Well, where do we, find somebody that's qualified to do this? I know a lot of associations, usually just take a dad or another coach and try to fill that position from there, but you really want somebody that's got an education and a background in the sport of hockey and that's a teacher as well and will work with, be able to work with everybody. So.
So again, if you're a coach, there's help, and it all comes again all for the kids. I've also read recently, Eric, that you've had a few board meetings and you had an audit performed. I hope you're going to tell me that Port Huron Minor Hockey Association is in good fiscal shape.
Oh, we've been in good fiscal shape. Yeah, there were rumors on the street that we weren't, that we had some problems. We had an audit done by Bill Butler, and we do that every so often. It's been quite a few years, though, because we had the same treasurer, Pat Hills, for quite a while, but Pat's moved on as well, and Kim Papanoff came in as treasurer this year, and so we decided it was a good time to do an audit, and we got a clean bill of health. Yeah, there's some minor things we got to take care of, and most of those have been taken care of, or the changes have been made, and a lot of them were just minor bookkeeping type things that had to be done. So
if there's any rumors out there, you're in good financial shape.
Yep.
Bill Butler's a CPA, so it just wasn't anybody off the street that did
Absolutely,
the
yep.
audit. And from what I'm hearing from you, the recommendations that he made, your board has already implemented.
Yep.
Well, that's great.
So we're ready to roll there. We've been in business as an association for close to 44 years, and we're, like I said, sound financially, and I think I said earlier, is we pretty much break even. Yeah, there's some years we lose money, some years we make money, but most of the time we're pretty close to a break even, and the fact that I think we may talk today about Silver Stick a little bit, but the Silver Stick tournament helps keep us.
Well, you're stealing my thing as host there, because that was my next topic here. We've got a few minutes left. Is Silver Stick. I know what that is. That kind of puts our town on the map. Our audience might not know, so can you tell me about a wonderful event that happens 2 weekends out of every year in January?
Silver Stick is probably the greatest time anybody will have as far as hockey goes in downtown Port Huron. We're very lucky to be the host and the major host of the major portion of the Silver Stick tournament. And obviously it's for youth, and it's for the Pee Wee and Bantam divisions. It happens over 2 weekends in January, and kids from all over the United States and Canada participate in this tournament. We have well over 100 teams come in over the 2 weekends and compete for what they say is the most coveted prize in youth hockey, which is the Silver Stick itself. And it's very competitive. It's very good youth hockey. We make it fun for the kids with our opening ceremonies. The way we close the games, the finals games, the kids skate out under spotlights and have their picture up on the wall, and so we make it a real event. It takes hundreds of volunteers to pull it off, but we feel we run the best tournament anywhere in the United States and Canada, and also Silver Stick is one of this particular tournament is one of the largest in the U.S. and Canada. You
mentioned volunteers, but I know there's one in particular that's run that for many years, and I think you've mentioned him earlier, but that's Pat Hills.
Yeah, Pat's, this will be his 10th year, and Pat's done a great job of making this thing better every year. And of course it's the volunteers and chair people and everything too, but Pat coordinates it all, gets these people, picks the right people to do it, as well as his chair people, and there's many hours that go into this tournament, and it's kind of like running the association, as I alluded to earlier. It's not just something, the tournament comes up in January and December, you start trying to put a tournament together. It's a year-round venture. Putting this tournament together.
And I know it's great for our local economy, because I think every hotel from here to Algonac is full, and it's great for the restaurants. And again, I encourage anyone, even if you don't play the sport, again, it's usually like the second and fourth week or the first and third week. They can call Linda at 9820242 and find out specifically. But I know it's in January. That never that
doesn't change. In fact, the second weekend we have Ice Fest usually going on down there, so it's a nice event that goes on right out in front of McMorran while the Silver Stick's going on. So venture in, and we encourage people to come in, because we have Port Huron teams compete. And our Port Huron teams have done very well. We've won, over the last 7 years, 3 Silver Stick titles.
You won one last year?
Won one last year. George Moss's Bantam team won, and we're hoping that we do as well this year. But the aspect of Silver Stick too is it does become the major fundraiser for Port Huron Hockey Association. That keeps us afloat. The more people we put in that building on a nightly basis, the more revenue that comes into our association, and it helps us keep the cost of hockey down, because as we alluded to earlier, it's an expensive sport. So we try to keep it down. Yeah, we've had to increase prices every year, but our increase has been minimal compared to other associations, and that's because of the revenue that comes in from Silver Stick.
Eric, we've only got a few seconds left. I see you're wearing the red shirt. You've got the flags. Is that the logo of the association?
Yep, we adopted that it's probably been 7 or 8 years ago now. All our travel teams had a separate identity, and so did our house teams. And we had a bunch of different color jerseys and everything, so we wanted to build unity. And so somebody came up with the idea that the old pro team here was the flags, and it was kind of unique. Instead of going with a mascot of a bear or a cougar or whatever the other, millions of things are that are out there that you see from one community to the next, we thought, well, flags was unique. And it had a history behind it, so we went with that flags, and it's proved to be successful for us because now all our teams wear the red and white, have the same logos on them. We merchandise with flags logos, and when you're traveling to other communities, people know who you are now. They don't have to see Port Huron on your jersey or your jacket. They see the flags logo and know you're Port Huron. So,
well, I think it was a great way, as you said, when you go places, people, once you see the flags logo, they know it's Port Huron, and like again, the old Port Huron team, the Port Huron flags, where you can go to the brass rail that Helen David owns and see all the memorabilia about that team, and that's how it got started.
Yeah, and Helen's got a great thing over there. If anybody hasn't been into the brass rail, stop in and see some of the old flags. And there's even some of like the team that won the Silver Stick last year, their pictures in the wall. So it's kind of a shrine to Port Huron hockey in the brass rail.
That's great. Well, Eric, thanks for being our guest today on City Beat.
Thanks for having me, Randy. Appreciate it.
Well, that's our show for today. We'll see you next week on another edition of City Beat.